Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in again. And yeah, welcome to a new part of our Winter Train series tutorial part course plus extra premium edition. Um, yeah, this makes no sense, but what I'm trying to say is here's where we left off. And today we will continue by learning about some modifiers, basically creating more details on our cylinders and yeah, planning it from there. So let's get on with it. Different type of chimneys, like really a lot more interesting than what our background image has. Well, not this, of course, but you know, different. Oh, that's a bell. That's actually interesting. Um, I think we could just stick with the Hogwarts one. I think it's a very interesting model, so why not? Um, Now to do this, we basically kind of have everything we need. At least that's how I would like to say it. So what we need to do is basically duplicate this chimney, move it up, scale it without a z-axis, just a little bit, like this. And now, basically, we need to create this curved um, shape of the cylinder here and upwards. And the way to do this is actually by adding more geometry. Now, the way to add more geometry is by pressing Ctrl R. And as you can see, it's going to add a whole line basically. Um, like it circles the entire cylinder and puts vertices everywhere. Now, an important aspect that you should understand, I think the earliest the better. Um, when you use Control R, right? I'll take a plane because it's easier to explain. It's going to just work, right? No matter where you put it, the line just goes from from the start till the end. So it creates a loop. That's what we call it. You basically are creating a loop and dividing the object. Now, it's very important to understand that this only works in quads. Now, what quads are is basically squares formed of vertices. So you have 4 vertices which forms one quad. So basically, if I would just take the knife tool and draw this line here, and I would try to create a loop, it's not working. If I do it here, it's not working. And I mean, why is that? Well, very simple, really. Here, you only have 3 vertices. So the loop basically doesn't know how to go through it, because basically it would try to go through it, but it doesn't know if it should do it like this or like this. Also, on the other hand, we have 6 vertices. We call this an n-gon. The way to solve something like this, really, you just take the knife tool, and from this vertex, you draw another line, another vertex basically. And now when we try to do a loop, it works, because now it has 4 vertices here, 4 vertices here, but here it's still not gonna work because, I mean, it's still a triangle. Now, if we are creating a vertex here and just drag it a little bit, now it's gonna work because it knows how it goes. It has a quad, and the loops can actually go through quads. We're gonna get into this a little more later on, but for now I think it's more than enough to just understand how this works, because maybe you'll have some points where your loop cannot be created, and this is most probably the reason why. You probably have an n-gon and you don't see it, or a triangle that you did not see. I don't know. Good. Now that we created our loop, we have to delete it. But if you press X, by the way, with X, you delete stuff in Blender, and we choose to delete the edges, it's deleting all our faces, and that's bad. If we delete the vertices, sorry, it's deleting all the edges as well, and we can do the same thing with the faces. It's not doing stuff because there's no face there to begin with. So the way you do it, it's press Ctrl X, and based on what selection you are, if I do the same thing but with vertices, it's going to delete my edges again. So the way you do it is with selection in edge mode, you press Ctrl X, and it's going to delete just that edge that you're selected. It's a pretty cool way and a clean way to clean up your mesh, or to delete, an edge without having to fix everything later on. Okay, so now we will create a loop again, but this time you have to scroll your mouse and it's going to create more than one loop. You can actually create as many as you want. I think I'm going to create just 3. Again, keep it simple, keep it to a low number of vertices, and I'm going to scale them a little closer to each other and then select the middle one. And what I will want to do is turn on the proportional editor. Now, with that being selected, when I do select and the edges and then press S, nothing seems to happen. But if you scroll down a lot, you'll see a circle. Now this circle basically will influence everything in the scene. So if you're making it small enough, it's just going to look like this. It's going to make it look more or less like a barrel. But apparently I estimated wrong. I need more detail. So we'll do 5 edges. And then the proportional editing. And yeah, here you just have to kind of see what's good for you. Okay. And we try to get as close as possible to this shape. So as you can see, it's not exactly right because here the shape really will just round itself around the cylinder, while on ours it just gets much wider, and it's not exactly right. So what we will do is select the sharp one, hopefully, and yeah, this one seems to work much better, and something like this should be okay. Now, also, this doesn't have such an edge to it. See, it's super edgy and it would not really look good in reality either. So the way to kind of get rid of this edge and have kind of a, let's say, quads actually here, it's by beveling it. The way you bevel an edge is by pressing Ctrl B. And if you drag your mouse, it's going to create another edge basically out of it. But the bevel object, you can just scroll and add as many as you want. So this will just round basically this whole thing. We don't need this much. We just need, you know, like another one to make it a little more like our reference. And you'll see why in just a second. Because I'm going to introduce you to maybe the most important modifier in Blender. And trust me, like basically everything you saw in this video is what you'll use probably 95% of the time when you model something in Blender. So you'll go to modifiers, add modifiers, and with Blender 4.0, you have a search button in the modifier area, but you can go to generate and have the subdivision surface. Now, if you go here, you'll see this. It's basically rounding everything up, making it smoother. And the way this works, basically, it's not changing the geometry, as you can see. It's the same thing. Basically, what this modifier does is it is adding geometry, but in a mathematical way, basically. So it kind of adds between each edge another edge or another really level of edges to round things up and make the passing much smoother. So the best way you can see it is if I increase the level from the viewport, it's just going to become even smoother than that. And if we will shade smooth, it's going to lose all those quad things. So it looks pretty nice actually. Also, if you do the shade auto smooth, in this case it doesn't do a lot, but the difference between it is that the auto smooth is taking in consideration the edges much more, so it still looks a little harder surfaced, while the smooth version tries to basically round everything. Now, this is a little too much, right? So let's decrease the level viewport, and here is what I was saying. So you can see now the edge here with the shade smooth, you see none of that, right? Okay, actually, let's increase this and let me show you this. Right now, it rounded the end basically a lot. And the reason for it is, well, if I will hide this, it's because you have this face right here and then this edge right here that you can't see, but it's right here. Now the reason for it, it's because if I get this, right? So the way it works, it's because that face being empty here, basically, the way it's rounding this, it's basically from here, getting it like this, right? So the easier to see this really is by selecting this face here. And if we insert a face by pressing I, by the way, look at that. It made it much harder because now it has another edge. So from this edge to this edge, and it's not going directly in the center of the face. It also has this edge as a, let's say, a support edge. Um, I'm going to go back because we don't really need that, right? And the reason for it really is because if you look here, we don't really have that. Like we will not see that face there, right? Because the main chimney basically will get inside that. So basically, we'll take this face and just delete it. So also a very important thing, when you don't have a face, there's nothing to round in the center of. So basically it's going to like make everything more right, let's say. Um, as you can see, because now from this, um, wait a second, here, from this edge right here to this one, it just has to move exponentially basically, and it doesn't have to move anywhere else, right? Um, now if we add a loop here, so another support edge and another one up here, look at this, it's adding this detail now. Now up here we will again not have this, but we will need to have a head basically of the chimney. So we will insert this face again with I, then you just scroll with the mouse, and then, well, not scroll, really just move your mouse, and then delete this face. And there it goes. But again, it seems kind of round here, so you just add another support. One here, and one right here. And this looks much closer. Now let's save this. And yeah, this is basically it. This is how you use the subdivision surface. Okay, so basically we finished doing the head of the chimney, which looks pretty cool. And now, going back to our references, we should kind of spot the details that we would like to create, right? Like to do. So some other things that I think are pretty interesting, this lid type of thing here, which I think again looks pretty cool. Selecting the main cylinder, we'll press tab and 1 and go into X-ray mode. Now, one thing that we can do is, as we can see, we have these kind of dents or like these details in there. And the way we can create those, we will press Ctrl R. And actually, you can see we created this loop, but because of the shear, it's going to be an oblique, basically, loop. And we don't really want that. We just want it straight. So the way you do this is after you create a loop, press E. And what that does, it's basically evening it out. So what that means really, it kind of like the more we approach, actually not even approach, it's going to kind of keep it straight, even despite the geometry that it is in. And it's a very useful tool. Okay, we have our loop here. And now with Control B, we will bevel it out. And yeah, basically we will have this kind of dent, but it's not a dent yet because we don't have, we like just have the geometry, but we did not do anything with it. And now the first thing that you could think of is, oh, we're just going to, let me take the proportional thing out, we can just scale it, and that's kind of it. But that will bend everything around it as well. So all that geometry is going to basically be in our way. So what you have to do is really create more geometry there. The way you do that is by extruding it. So you press E, and then as you can see, it's still on the normal, and then you press S. And basically what this does is it takes the geometry that we just created by extruding the faces, or in this case, the edges, um, and basically scaling the new geometry down. And because of it, also, when you press E and S, it's going to scale everything on the normals. So basically, everything went like exactly minus 180 to its own normal. So it's um, actually, I think I just complicated it a lot. But basically, what this means, right, is if I take this face, for example, will have a normal that goes like this. The moment you extrude it and you basically create another face on top of this face and you will scale it in, it's going to actually scale it on its own normal. So basically when you scale it in, you're going to scale it in the inverse of its own normal. And that's what gives us exactly the detail we need for this kind of stuff. So this being said, okay, now we have our dent here, and let's scale this on X a little bit, give it a little more detail. Now here, of course, it's optional to do this. You don't really have to. This is just a choice of my own. You can just leave it as in our reference. It doesn't seem to have this kind of bend here, so you can just skip this if you don't want. And one thing I really would encourage you guys to do is go be creative. Create faces here. Just add as many details as you want. And actually, there's gonna be a thing I'll do. I will create some details and I will show you how to do it. But I think it's important for you to try to do it on your own, because this is really how you develop the skill on your own. Okay, now let's do another loop. And don't forget, press left click and then E to even it out. And then we'll have it kind of about here. And as you can see, actually that is a little bent really. So don't forget the shear, and kind of maybe about here should do. And then to move it right on the edges really, you press G twice. So if you press it once, you're going to move it wherever, right? But if you press it twice, you can only move it on its own, like you basically move the edge on its own geometry, basically. So we're putting this kind of like in the middle here, pretty good. And then beveling it out. Again, Control B, and just do whatever you think it looks good. You can also not do this if you don't want to. I don't know, maybe create something else. Maybe, again, you have some different geometry that you chose. Actually, a reference, I'm sorry. So yeah, again, be creative. Play around with this. This is the fun of this whole thing, really. I love modeling exactly because of this, because you can just do whatever. Like, I don't know, think of whatever you like and create it that way.
Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, for sticking through till the end of this video. Again, please, I would like your opinion on how long these videos should be. For now, I still will keep them to like 20 to 25 minutes. But again, if you would like longer videos, that would be pretty cool as well. So you just let me know. Also, again, thank you very much. I hope you learned something in this video, and if not, maybe cleared out some old questions that you had about these basic things in Blender. Um, Next video, we will use a little more the subdivision modifier. We will add more details to our models, and hopefully in the next 2 or 3 videos, we will finish modeling our main cylinder and basically the main cabin of the train so that we can start looking at the materials and show you guys how that works in Blender. Um, Also, in this video, I hope you noticed that I made maybe a little contest for you guys. So I don't really think you'll win anything right now, but I will try to think of something just in case. But I would like you to leave in the comments how many times did you hear me say the word basically? Because I edited this video and trust me, I thought that half of this video was just basically. So yeah, please do that. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I can't wait to see you guys next time with the next video and continue our modeling journey. Bye guys.